BBC I wanted to give today, I'm going to postpone till tomorrow because Geshe-la, his teachings this morning applied very much to Martin Luther King Day, which is today. So I think it's good to bring that public holiday and Geshe-la's teachings together. Yeah. So although he spent most of the session on the foulness of the body, the last three verses he talked about were about not killing, not harming others, and the despicability of creating terror in others. So, applying to Martin Luther King's life, you could see the way racism created terror in the minds of the African Americans and how that terror was used to control them when the laws of slavery were enforced and still on the books. But after those laws came out, were changed and new laws implemented, there was still racism. And it's still in the process. America is still in the process of dealing with that history. Today, the racism has changed more from the African Americans to the Latinos. And this is what is going on now with the president's program to rid the country of people from other countries who poison the blood of America. This is his own words. This is very reminiscent of what the Nazis said. The Jews were poisoning the blood of the Aryan race. So this kind of racism is, it's pervasive in the world, yeah. And what has happened now is certain people in the country have taken racism and said, yes, we are very against racism, but now it's the white people who are being discriminated against. Yeah. And they go on a whole big thing, especially about white, straight men who are now the bad guys in the country and being discriminated against. Yeah. So this is the talk of many prominent people in our society at the time. I won't mention names. But, discrimination is discrimination. And the whole thing of the mind that takes joy in making others afraid. Yeah, the mind that wants to use power to control and to control through fear. And I think that mind it's very confused because it thinks that by punishing people, by oppressing people, by calling them names, then you will make them cave in and do what you say and do what you want. And in some cases, with people who have very weak values and ethics, they cave in because their worldly concerns are more important than their values at this point in their life. But the people, I think, who have values, which is what Geshe-la's teachings were really trying to emphasize today, the idea of killing others, the idea of oppressing others, the idea of deliberately terrorizing other people in the country, which is what is going on today. Yeah, that all of that is quite despicable. Yeah, it may make some people cave in and do what you want, but you think, oh, then I've won. Now people respect me. Fear is not respect. Fear does not mean you agree with somebody. Yeah. So that a person who wants power, who what they really want is genuine respect, what they really want is for people to think well of them, they're going about getting it in the completely wrong way. Yeah. Because if we look at all world religions, yeah, none of them um, talk about that as something saintly or good or, what is valuable for human beings to do. Every world religion, and even, many secular people who don't have a religion know that, and you can feel it in your bones. Um, so you can really see the kind of confusion and ignorance in people's minds nowadays that they um, that they take joy in abusing their power, whether it be, the Nazi captain who tells the underlings what to do, but sits there comfortably in their own palace, or the underlings who now feel empowered and think they have immunity, who go about carrying out the other's orders, thinking, I'm just carrying out orders, I'm doing something virtuous. The commander said this, I must do it. Yeah, and this is exactly what was going on, uh, in the Nazi regime. If you studied any of that, which I really recommend people do, um, you come to understand the psychology of a society and the personal psychology of individuals in it. And then, what Stalin did, what Mao Zedong did, yeah, what's happening now. It's all the same, uh, very convoluted way of people trying to feel valuable. Yeah. And the difficulty with it is that they cause other people pain. And that's not there was a book many years ago, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. Oppressing people, terrorizing them is not a way to win friends. Yeah. Like I said, people may cave in, but that's not friendship. And those relationships are based on fear, and they are not very steady. Yeah, and the kind of relationships that we want as people who care for the world, who care for something beyond ourselves, or at least who admire that as an ethic, and we're trying our best to generate that mind, then we know, because we can see with our eyes, that kindness is what wins friends. Kindness is what creates, um, harmony in a group of people. Yeah. Now, we often think kindness means we let people do whatever they want. Yeah. That's not the definition of kindness, okay? When somebody has a drug and alcohol problem and asks you for money, it's not kindness to give them money when you know they're going to go straight out and buy some dope, okay? That's not kindness. Um, every parent knows that as much as you love your children, it isn't kindness to give your kids everything they want. Yeah. Now, of course, we all felt as children, oh, they didn't understand me. Didn't get what I wanted. The other kids had this, but I didn't. I was punished for what my other siblings do. But if you think about it, I mean, this is how I felt. But Dharma made me think about it from my parents' viewpoint. Yeah. And first of all, realize, they aren't perfect people. They're human beings with their own problems. And, you know, they're doing their best to raise us. And it's not like I was the ideal child to raise. Yeah. Were any of us, little angels came out of, yes, yes, you were a little angel. Yeah. Well, show your angel qualities now because sometimes they're lacking. You grew out of it. Okay. Yeah. So, most of us, uh, we weren't born as little angels, and we were at age 2. They talk about the terrible twos because that's when you learn the word no, and whatever mom and dad say, no, you know, and uh, and then our parents are stuck with trying to raise this kid who is, doesn't have real good ethical values and doesn't understand the world. And they're trying to raise us so that we will fit in society and get along with other people. And, and plus, our parents are ordinary people. So, they get angry sometimes, especially when there's a few kids around who are always saying, Mommy, Daddy, give me this, give me that. No, I don't want this. No, you know. And, you know, when you consider what our parents had to do, then maybe we should forgive them a little bit, or maybe we should forgive ourselves for holding things against them. Um, because we've come now to see that they were trying to help us, that kindness can mean discipline sometimes, because I don't know about you, but if my parents gave me everything I wanted, I would be even more of a brat than I already am. Yeah, and then you're really stuck with a super brat. Yeah. But you have to thank our parents for, setting a standard and holding us to that standard, even though we didn't like it at that time. Yeah. Um, so I think all this, ties into to it being Martin Luther King Day, and his whole message of kindness, his whole message of nonviolence, and everything he did non-violently, and the force of his nonviolence, Gandhi's nonviolence, His Holiness Dalai Lama's nonviolence, all of that speaks very, very loudly in our very, very confused world. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I think it's important to respect those people who have that value and who live it out despite other people often criticizing them. Yeah. So you have people nowadays, you know, um, who are holding up strong values and saying, our own faith interfaith group, people. That's just a small local example. but people who are trying to hold up good values. You can see why it's important to respect them and what they're doing. Yeah. And I realized today that I didn't know before, but there's all sorts of protests going on in the country today, um, specifically against this kind of racism that is being implemented in the country to terrorize whole groups of people who are just trying to live their lives, trying to go to work, driving their car from one place to another. Um, and so many, yeah, protests all over the country, different groups, doing this. And so we're in retreat. We can't go out and do a protest, but we can certainly make prayers and aspirations and wish those people well and write more and more letters to our Congress people. Somebody mentioned um, about a website you did, yeah? Could you, with that makes it easy to send the letters, could you send that around? Yeah. And, this kind of is one good use of email, but it is not an excuse to check all of our other email. If you have a message on your thing that, you're in retreat and responses will be delayed.